Hey friends, welcome back to Indie Author Blueprint. Today's episode is one of those important updates kind of episodes because as of June 10, 2025, KDP made some changes that impact how much you earn on your paperback and hardcover sales. There's also a small bit of good news on the printing costs, so we'll walk through that too. So let's break it down together. No jargon, no stress, just the facts, and we'll talk about what you need to do to stay profitable. I just want to tell you I'm pulling all the information directly from KDP and from the bulletins they've put out, not from someone else's analysis. I always go to KDP to get my information because it makes a big difference if you have it straight from the source. So, first of all, let's talk about the royalty rate change. What's new? For the first time in almost 20 years, KDP has adjusted its royalty structure, and this one affects authors who price their books under certain thresholds. If your book is priced under $9.99 on Amazon.com in US dollars, your royalty rate dropped from 60% to 50% on June 10. And remember, in some of the episodes before when I talked about how this works, that 60% that you get or the 50%, you have to also remember that after you receive that portion, the printing cost comes off of there. So it's not like you just take your cover price and you get half of it or you get 60% of it. There's printing costs there too. This threshold varies by country. We're talking about the US here. It's different in the UK and Canada. So we'll just talk about the US because that's what I know. We'll stick with what I'm familiar with. So what does this mean for you? Well, let's look at a quick example. If you're selling a 300-page paperback, which is, a novel with black and white printing, and let's say you've been pricing it at $8. Before the change, you'd get about 33 cents per sale. Now, with the new 50% royalty, that same sale earns you nothing because the minimum list price now has to be $9.20 in order to cover the cost. So if your price is too low, your royalties vanish. So that's not ideal if you were trying to keep your books super cheap. Why did KDP do this? Well, KDP has cited rising operational costs as the reason behind the shift. The new structure helps them to continue offering lower priced print books without spreading the cost increase across all titles. So just to be clear, this only affects paperbacks and hardcovers. Ebooks are not affected by the change. There are already different pricing structures for ebooks depending on how you price your book. There's already a higher royalty if your book is between $2.99 and $9.99 there, and a lower royalty on there if your book is priced below $2.99. But this particular change affects print books only. I want to pause here for a little mindset reset because I want to tell you why you shouldn't try to compete with traditional pricing. Here's why some people will feel this change deeply. A lot of indie authors try to keep their paperback prices low because they see traditionally published books on Amazon listed at $9.99 or less. But those books are typically offset printed overseas in massive quantities. We're talking about thousands or tens of thousands of copies at a time. That drives the per book printing cost way down. You can't compete with that as an indie author, and you don't need to. Print on demand is a different model. And so if you're looking at books that are for sale and you're picking them up, looking at the back cover, you're going to need to price your books differently because it's a different printing model. Your books are printed one at a time, and that flexibility comes with a higher cost. It's okay and smart to price your book in a way that actually earns you something. Your readers aren't just buying paper and ink, they're investing in your creativity, your expertise, your message, the entertainment factor, whatever you're giving them. So give yourself permission to set prices that respect that. Whatever you're picking up in the bookstore, you want to be somewhere kind of close to that. And here's why. I've also seen the other end of that. I've seen people who have their indie books priced at like $22.99 for a 100-page booklet, for example. And it just doesn't stand up that somebody's going to pay you that much over, $29.99 for a novel is not going to work. So you want to make sure that you're somewhere in between, that you're profitable and that you're not trying to compete with those that can price it super low. So that means that maybe you're going to have to adjust something. What do you need to do then right now? Well, if you've published through KDP, there's a couple of things that you should check. First, check your royalties. See if any of your books drop to the 50% royalty rate. KDP will flag them in your bookshelf when you go into your dashboard, and it will give you a download link to see which titles are affected. So go ahead and do that. There's also a royalty calculator on KDP. This tool lets you plug in your page count, your ink type, and the pricing to see your estimated royalties. So if you need to do some adjusting, go there because you can see the before and after earnings right now. If it's that yours was priced below $9.99, you'll be able to see what you need to do to get it profitable again. Then you can review and adjust your prices. So you'll go to your KDP bookshelf, you'll click the 3 little dots next to your paperback or your hardcover. You'll select Edit Print Book Pricing, which is on the 3rd page, the last page of that dashboard as you're paging through. You're going to review your royalty rate and look at the minimum list price for each marketplace and then update your price if needed, and then you'll click Publish. Now, when you click Publish like this, it'll say it's in review, but if you're only changing the price very quickly, you'll get that email that says your book is available for sale, and nothing ever really changed. It wasn't ever not available for sale while you were editing, but it just does that every time you make any kind of change on there. So if you're not uploading a new file, you'll see that price change immediately. Speaking of uploading a new file, if you did incorporate the price into your cover by putting it on the back cover and also by putting it into the barcode, you need to get a new barcode. I explain on a different episode how I get barcodes through Ingham Spark at no cost, and I put the price in them. You can do that, and then all you have to do is replace that and then upload a new cover file with that new barcode and price on there. And again, that doesn't take very long because you're taking the cover you already made and you're just swapping it out and updating the price. If you are using the barcode that KDP gave you and it was the free one and you don't have the price printed on the book at all, then you have to make no change at all because it doesn't affect anything with the barcode or your ISBN. It's simply a pricing thing. And I personally have my prices on my books, so I don't have any below $9.99, but if I did, I would need to go and upload a new cover file just to make sure it all matched. It's also smart to review the pricing in each marketplace. Just because you're earning royalties in the US doesn't mean that the same price works in Canada or Europe, so go ahead and check wherever you're distributing your books, check the prices there to make sure you're getting a profit there as well and you're not at zero. I said there was some good news. There's good news for color printing. As part of their annual review, KDP also announced reduced color printing costs in some regions. That's good news if you're publishing children's books or workbooks or any title that uses colors on the interior. Now, it might be more affordable to print in color than it was a few months ago, so in future projects you might want to consider color as well. I do a lot of black and white because if anything is in color in your book, it's a color book. And I do that price comparison and I think, yeah, that's going to be too expensive. So that's good news because I have thought about doing some things in color and I will look at what those costs are before I do the next design on some things. So if that's you, good news for you. Where do you see then the impact in your reports if you're a KDP author? We're past the day when this change took place, so you'll see the updated royalty rate reflected in your prior month's royalty report. So look for the royalty type and look to see whether your sales were the 60 or the 50%. And remember that pricing takes 3 to 5 business days to show up on Amazon listings. So if you made the change and then you're trying to see it right away on there, that one will come when you get that notice that the page has been updated. Then in the future, our royalties will not be super confusing. It's just the first one that you get after this. And also remember, when you get the royalty report and when you get the check are not the same, because the payment goes into the account the month after it was earned. And so if I earn something in May, I don't see that show up until the end of June, early July in my account, in my bank account. All right, so some closing thoughts here. The changes can feel frustrating. Whenever something changes, it's frustrating, especially if you made some decisions early on that you thought were going to work and then they didn't because of this change. They really don't have to derail your strategy. Self-publishing is all about staying informed and adapting when needed. And so you have control over your choices, and that means you might have to pivot here and there, but you get to make those changes and you can keep on being profitable as an indie author. I encourage you to check your prices, adjust where needed, and make sure your royalties are still working in your favor. I hope this helps to clarify things for you a little bit. Share it with other authors if you know someone else who may not check their dashboard very often. There have been some other changes that have happened in the past, and I know some of my author friends have not gone back in and taken advantage of some of those. For example, being able to add more than 2 categories. Some people's old books still have only 2 on there, and you can have a third one. Maybe you haven't looked at those keywords in a while, and there's a lot of changes in what gets seen. So maybe you need to do some updates. So while you're in the dashboard checking out your prices, go ahead and check on those categories and keywords and see if there's any updating. Check on your book description, see if that needs a little polish up. Do whatever you need to do to get your book seen and take advantage of all the great information that's out there that helps you to be a better indie author. Well, I want to thank you for being here. We'll talk soon. I'll be back next week with another episode.